Welcome back. Here I am recording again. I went ahead and got lost on where I should be. That was my last video. Okay, so here I am again. This is where we left off. What you see next, like I said, this is kind of a document that I'm going to be using. So a little bit of reflection on what my current classroom looks like versus a lot more reflection on what I want it to look like, and some to-do lists that I'm keeping track of for being able to do that. So as you go through this, you're going to see a lot of the evidence of learning, which I'll attach this document as well to the for the course. A lot of the evidence and the things that I've learned, including some notes on some readings and some different things. I've tried to, for the courses include where they're from, and then I've got the citations down below. So here's my thing. Here's my new learning management system. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to do really great for my students. And so here we go. So the first thing, what does my daily calendar look like right now? So when kids are absent or anything like that, they come in for the day, and here's the day of the unit. The 2 means that it is quarter 2, and the 14 mean it's the 14th day of the quarter. What's the focus question? I think in science particularly, I like using questions. I also use learning targets. I usually use learning targets for like, what do you need to know for a quiz, things like that. I'm starting to use them on the tops of assignments. But the day, being able to ask a question and get an answer at the very end of the day is really important for science. So you'll see that continue into my new teaching for best practices, kind of continuing through and making it and adapting it for flipped learning. So whatever warm-up we did, so this is the quote-unquote do now that I'm using, and then what we did, links to the assignments, and then the homework, which is pretty typical. If you scroll through here, you can see like do the notes, do the practice. So notes, practice. It's completely flipped from what I'm going to be doing now. So what does the new one look like? So the new one, here's just the general outline for it. It's going to have the day, so that's day and date, so that when students are absent, they know where to go, they know where they're at. Focus question for the day will still be there. Announcements, anything coming up, things like that. And then the do first. So this is what would now be the warm-up. Their do first will be there. So then I will choose one of these 2 will be here. Right, so they're going to come in, do the do first. It's going to have the instructions, tell them exactly what to do. They're pretty practiced on that. They know, come in, they have a task waiting for them. So then I will go through and I will, if I want them to just keep going, finish the do first and then keep going, I'll just delete that. It'll say go. Or if I need to give some instruction, if I need to do some group processing, things like that, I'm just going to say, stop, please wait here. Whichever one fits for that day. Then I'm going to actually, this is where one of my troubleshooting pieces is going to be. What if students don't do the homework? So I'm going to actually give them some answers. I'm going to fill in some of the learning that they should have done. Now, they're still going to want to do it. There's going to be some accountability pieces for, stamping the journals, stamping the notes. They're not going to be able to copy and paste. But even if all they do is go and copy what I give them, they at least have a starting point. And really, it's not about can I take notes, although that's an important skill that I want my students to have so they can be successful. For some of my students who are not college bound, it's access to material. And so this might be part of it. And then whatever the options are for the day, I love the differentiation on options. I love it, I love it, I love it. It's the biggest thing that I've picked up from this course, I would say, is how options can be the differentiation. And then the homework tonight, what they're going to be doing tonight. So let's look at my example for the lesson that I have developed. So this is their homework. So here's my flipped classroom. This is what they got assigned the day before. And you can see here that it says lecture parts. The system that I had only does shorter videos. And so that's one of the things you notice on my to-do list is the talk to my IT department about how to get a better system for that so that the video can just be what the video is and what its length is. So the length of video is a concern for me, and it's one that I'm troubleshooting because my IT department isn't back until after winter break, so I'll be working on that. But so they watch 3 parts of it, and it's a screencast just like this is. Opens up, you hit play, and you've got a video lecture here that they're going to be taking notes on. It's a simple screencast. Simple screencast from a set of Cornell notes. They also have access to these, just the actual slideshow itself. So I do have some students for differentiation who print the slides and glue them down and then write a one-sentence summary. But then they're still listening to my words around it and being able to understand the material a little better. So here's the notes. Here's what they did for homework, was to do these, to go home, do the learning, take the notes. So they show up to class. Here is my new learning management system for them. So every day, so there'll be a link, today's stuff. They'll open the link and it comes into a Google Doc like this. So it says the day. So I'm anticipating about the date. So it would be Q3, day 15 for this assignment, March 20th, 2019. And I know I said immediate implementation and then this is far out. This is the one that I already had those 3 videos prepared for from last year, and so I was adapting. My first thing that we're doing when we come back is a lot of review right before finals, so I just adapted some of the assignment that I already have. So here's their due first. Get out the Cornell notes that they did for homework last night. Write 1 level 2 question per slide of the notes that you took. So we use Cornell notes. We're an Avid school. Students are really familiar with this. So I would say for this one, go ahead and go. Like, the students don't need my assistance based on the 3 assignments. I'm going to be rotating the room to help them through. This due first also allows students who didn't do the homework to get out the notes and at least start taking some, or come down here. So what have I learned before that will help me today? Students, I'm going to get them into the habit of reading this. And so we learned before from Earthquake Tectonic Plates unit about subduction zones. From our homework last night, here's the link for it again. They can click on it, open it if they didn't do their homework, and start doing that right now while we're waiting for the Choose Your Own Adventure. And then I have communication in my class about colors. So red is a vocabulary word, blue is a main idea, and green is a possible test question. And my kids learn that very quickly. It's a really great for my students, and so you see the red pulling out the vocabulary from their learning. All right, so the new flipped classroom. So this is what we're doing today. Normally this would have been their homework, right? But because I'm doing it today, this middle option is possible because now I've turned it and I've said, okay, lecture at home and learning in class. So they can do a create. Right? They can create a 1-page infographic on volcanic eruptions. So this is what I did last year. This was the only option. Every single student did this exact same thing, and it was their homework, not something that they did in class. So I couldn't ask them questions. This worked great for my 90% students. For example, here. You can see this is pretty nice work. I mean, it's sideways, but here's my hazards. There's my 5 hazards. There's a picture of each one. The really well put together. It's well thought out, well spaced. Got my subduction going on over here. But this is my A student. And so she could pretty much do it. It was fantastic. I still use her journal as a reference for this year for my students. My other students needed help, and I wasn't there to give it to them because it was homework. So I'll be able to go around and say, well, how do you show this? How could you connect these 2 things? Well, you're showing a picture of the subduction. Well, that's beneath the volcano. What if you drew the volcano on top of it and then the 5 hazards coming down the side of it? You know, being able to try to put the pieces together, and even just some spatial stuff to be able to help students. So then one of the others, I was like, okay, well, that's for creative kids. Let's think about writing. Let's have them do a public service announcement. So write a public service announcement that informs the population of these things. And then the thing that, like, for a lot of my boys and a lot of my ADHD students are going to want to build a model of a volcano that is at a subduction zone and is erupting. They're going to have to put the subduction zone down beneath. They're going to have to show the 5 hazards occurring on this volcano. And I got glue guns, I got cardboard. Every time I get a shipment, I cut the cardboard up into pieces. I got paper, and they can draw markers, right? Have at it, build it up, get that 3D learning in there, and that differentiation for the student, I think, is just absolutely key. I couldn't have them do this at home. right? Like high school kids carrying models around, it's just not something that's happening anymore. And I couldn't think that they have the materials. So this option opened up because of this idea of being able to do my flipped learning. So then it tells them homework tonight. Having them take notes on a video is not going to be happening every single night. This probably is a more typical homework assignment on a regular learning type classroom, but I still think they did the practice using this vocabulary. I went around every single minute to all these different tables. I asked them about the vocabulary. I asked them questions where they had to use the vocabulary, and that this is just kind of a formalizing because I do have kids keep a glossary. And then I actually love this. I'm going to tell them what we're going to learn next. The next learning that we're going to do is going to be volcano monitoring. And again, I'm doing this in a flipped classroom sort of way. But again, here I have 4 videos, but I also have readings. I don't necessarily, and a little infographic here, I don't necessarily think that videos are the only way for students to do the learning. Reading is going to be really hard for my students that are on ADHD, IEPs, who have dyslexia, those type of things. So having both options I think are really important, and these readings as options are going to be key to get my students college ready, to be able to get information from reading, because the videos are great, but academics in college are still professors assigning reading. Like if you're going to four-year university, you're going to get a textbook and you're going to have reading assigned that you're supposed to learn from. So I want to help students with that as well. But again, this is flipped. They do the learning and then we do the graphic organizer here in class, being able to put it all together where I can ask them questions and spend time with them doing those, bigger questions like how, why, and the what of it. So flipping that classroom, I think, really opens it up to me actually getting to that higher level critical thinking. And that's going to be somewhat seen in the products that they make in class time that I can then grade, rather than just grading their notes or their summaries. And it's going to be in the one-to-one interactions. I'm really going to be able to have that opportunity to go ask high-level questions because they've been able to process, etc. Just really quick, as you go through here, you're going to see I've got room for more learning down here as I continue to go through this, and just kind of some of my troubleshooting, internet access, videos on flash drives, borrowed devices. Our kids actually have study hall. This is going to be the biggest one, is that if I have a kid that says, oh, I can't do it, you have study hall, and we just need to get them organized enough to know, okay, what classes do I need internet for and what classes don't I? And that may be an email over to their study hall teachers. If I get into a different school where it's a really high level, we could just do some of that stations rotation, which does make it so it's not quite flipped, but it's still opened me up so that at the stations where they're not watching videos, I'm not just lecturing, I'm actually asking and answering higher level questions. Another troubleshooting concern would be time investment. My PLC is going to be huge for this. 20 and 22 year teacher PLC, they've probably done these 50 different ways, right? If I go to them and I say, okay, we are going to be learning about earthquakes. What assignments do you have for earthquakes? I'm probably going to get 6. I'm probably going to get one that's building a model. I'm probably going to get one that's writing an essay. I'm probably going to get one that's doing a short play, 50 different ones. And so I can choose some of those. I can choose different aspects, give students that choice for differentiation again, and really only have to modify very little. So I think that's going to be really helpful. If by chance we get something that isn't, I think each one of us takes a topic, right? We take a topic and we're like, okay, well, I'll do the hands-on assignment, you do the writing assignment, and I'll do the arty assignment. Or, I have a really good creative one for this. How about creating a song or whatever. 3 people each do one assignment, and we end up with 3 options for one. Keeping my students on task, it's going to be a lot on me as a teacher, rotating the rooms. I think this is going to give me time to be able to have more student meetings. I occasionally right now have the opportunity to meet with students one-to-one, to be able to be like, hey, how's things going? How do you think you're doing? What would you like to work on? How would you like to improve? I think if I'm not lecturing, if I have opened that up and they are working and I've created and really a couple weeks have put in, gotten these students to be active learners, gotten them time investment, they have choice, so they're invested in the project that they're doing. I'm actually gonna have time to call students up and do these one-to-one check-ins. And then just, expressing my high expectations and modeling my behavior. I've got a couple extra notes and then some of some things, some videos that I really liked, like this Myth of Average one that we watched for the class. Just some extra notes. Like I said, this document is really for me, plus my citations for the course itself. Please email me if you have any questions. Otherwise, there's going to be 2 video links. You'll see them here because you'll have to have found them. But I'm going to be putting the video links up here so that you can watch. Thanks so much.